I was thinking about Sunday message throughout the week, thinking what am I going to share with the believers this Sunday.
Haptahu ke chun tunin ko a ipithu he ta sansa te to za dinga ka sei do theding ham ti hi kana ki gel zingen.
Then a song from the Prince of Egypt kept knocking on my heart a few days ago.
Chi achun ni ko them khat chi masam achun chi Egypta prince khat en la azi chi a in kalung sung an pai kha in ahile.
In that song, the main theme is you must look at your life from heaven's eyes.
Chi la a kuna at pipen apoy mo pena kala do chu nang man na hin ko hi leisin mit pena venawa ama wang van kam nang pathin mit pena zo na ki vet sin din ti hi kamoda en hi.
So, with that theme, I will like to share with you how you look at your life.
Hin ko hi ti vet sin de ham ti pa hi ka sei do no me na hi.
When you look at your life,
Na hin ko hi na ki vet ting le
you have two choices.
nang ma in ki len thei na thil ni na nei ji en
Either look at the problems or look at the blessings.
nang ma in na problem na vet ding ham ai lo na phat thei na chan na pa chu na vet ding ham.
The famous statement of glass, whether half full or half empty, is so real to our personal life.
Chi a lim ki mu ho thil mi zo sin hi de hi en chi a mini lunggel ki ba lo dan chi ko hin ko ba pai ta ki chi pi so ke hi en
If you're a person who only sees the half empty glass,
chi a ko nang ma chu glass a toi ko a ke khat bo me ti a he ve mi hem na hi a hi le
chances are that you will allow negative emotions to dominate your life.
ti ta bang lunggel na ne ya he le na hin ko a na lunggel ho zo si chu thil phalang sanga thil selam in na gel nom na zo hin ko na man ding hi en
You will always look at what you don't have in life.
nang ma in na hin ko a kiwat lo le na nei lo thil cheng si bo chu na ho la hin ko na man ding hi.
But if you're a person who looks at the glass half full,
Ai bang khat lang pa in half full a full de chane tilang pa lunggel ko na de ya hi le
chances are that you will be a person very grateful for everything that you have in your life.
ti ta bang lunggel nei bi him na hi a le na hin ko a thil de na nei na chunga ki pa in na tin lungmok ta na ding hi.
It is a known fact that a positive outlook in life always wins in life.
Heo in I hasu Kevin koi hi le alunggela thil phajing helo le ki pa na jing gel mi him khat chu ka hin ko azong thil pha chunga khongom ji hi.
What do you see when you look at your life?
Ji a chu na hin ko na ki ve teng le itilang pa na ve ji am.
Then there is another way of getting into trouble, that is my way is the only way.
Ting le hin ko wa hi mi to ikito thelo naw khat chu ipiham keima lunggel bo hi adi he ti ai gel na pau ana henom ji en.
When we look at life from our perspective,
Heo in hin ko hi eima lang eima dei dan dana ikive ting wa hi le
we think this is the only right way.
ti nang ma in nagel pa chu chi bo se hi adi hin ti ti akigel ji en.
In this picture, both people are right.
Ti lima ko velel chun ani ni hana hi di hana hi.
But the problem is, neither of them is willing to admit that you're also right.
Ai wanga hi chilaya kinil te ni ko velel chun khat pa in jong nang ma vet dan in adi ti a he kinok to han lo hi na hi.
Especially in the family situation, when you have troubles,
In sunga boy na ha sat na ho na to ting leo
that is mainly because we fail to put ourselves in other person's shoes.
ei ma lunggel se ki gela in sung mi te lunggel ding dan ho chu in a he thim lo je o hin ten.
Wife fails to understand husband, husband fails to understand wife.
Sika achu nu pa ki ka azong zinun azipa hethem thelo na din mon omin chitapang ma cha zipa no azinu a hethem thelo na din mon jong om ki ji na hi.
When they look at their life, both are seeing the reality. Both are right.
Ama ni in ahin ko chu ama ni cham ta ki ve han ting le khat in zong khat di akisa in khat in zong khat ma chu di akisa na hi
But if they could see from other person's perspective,
ama wang khat chun azinu ham ji pa ham lung mit ve da chun ga ve hen lang hi le
then they would realize, oh, maybe I was also not right.
chuti hen lang hi le o ama zong adi in ke a zong adi eti hi ki gyal do na khat amin te
From my husband's side, this problem looks different than my own.
keima in ka gyal da sanga ka ji pa in anavet na lang pa hi avet dan a chom ze bin hi wanga adi i tho tho ve ti
From my wife's perspective, this looked different than I thought it was.
ting le hi chada bang ma a chu ka zinu in thil problem avet dan hi keima in kanagin chat pha lo lam ta na vet hin te ti zong gyal do na kin in te
Same thing with parents and children.
tabang ma a chu cha le nu le pa le cha ke ka a zong the hi
So how we look at our life is very important.
Ze a chu ei ma in hin ko hi iti ke vet thum tu ham ti hi thil poi mo ta hi hi
And in terms of relationship, it is so important to be able to put on other person's shoes.
adi sena ki chinu pa ke ka ho a hi thil ki he them to theina dinga khat keng ko adin ngai hello am khat le ki vet chil ngai hi
Then there are certain things which we really have no idea what it is.
ting le thil them khat hi hin ko wa ipi tham ti het chin lo i het le lo thil jong om nom ji in
From a first perspective, it looks one thing.
a first ama sa pena i vet wa chu thil khat hello le pham khat to kilo ki sa mai thein ten
From the external first impression, it is the thing that I see.
polang mit vet ama sa pena ga bu zap dinga chu namu pa chu ahi jengin
But if you step back
ahe wanga them khat na kinung le a
and look at more carefully,
hoi ta a phata na vet chila hi le
you begin to see something else.
namu sanga thildang hello le thildang mit me da namu na jong thein tet
So in our personal life also, we must not go with our first impulse.
ezi atu ehin khowa hi thil imu masat hello le ama sa pena imu pen wa kon mo chi jing po hitin
Step back and rethink about the situation that you are facing.
ama wang nang ma en thil decision na hello am khale chin na zui sanga chun kal khat kal ni nung chon en lang hoi ta in gel selin lang betha kiten
I couldn't find the clear picture, but there is a watermark. Anyway, how many pair of faces do you see?
chilaya ko mai tinga to izat hello le pair izat na muwam
Anybody volunteer?
say no pai ta bang yo muwam
Or are there any stand or any stool or any some kind of vessels?
hello le stool ham hello le mi mai ham hello le six pair
Okay. Is there any stand?
stand ta banga mu na muwam
Oh, okay. Any the glass or whatever vase.
hello am khat le glass me la na muwam hello le pa cha tun na ho na muwam
Find out if you can see a vase. Anyway, it shows that when you look at first, you see one thing.
tabang ma chu abul pena na beta chu thil khata na mu mai the
If you reconsider,
eba avel bela hello le na gel sila na bet ting le
it has a different perspective.
na longgel a chom hello le long thim chom longgel chom na nei the hi
So, in our personal life also, with our own limited perspective,
ya chu hin kho ei ma chang hin kho azong ei ma longgel se hello le ei ma longgel se achu
we may not be able to see all the problem that I have in my own personal life.
nang ma na hin kho nang ma ta hin kho jinga ipitabang boy na nei ham problem na nei ho zo si jong chu nang man ki het chin pon na tin
Then I will have to look at my life from my wife's eyes also.
chu ting le nang ma en na hin kho nang ma ta en na het hello je achu na jinu mit vet a ko na chu na hin kho a problem ho chu na vet thei ki da hen
My children's eyes, my church members' eyes.
ting le chate a ko na chate mit vet a ko na hi han lang hello le ho bung mi pi ho mit vet a ko na hi jong le
What do they see in me?
ama ho en ke hi ei mu teng hi pi a ei mu wang
And most of all, I have to look at my life from God's eyes.
Ai che ho zo si chung nunga chu ke ei ma in hin ko hi pathin mit ve da ipi ka hi nam ti dong hi ki ve chil ngai na hi
When God looks at my life, what does He really see?
pathinin ka hin ko hi ve ta ne ipi amumong na dem
What does God see in your life?
pathinin na hin ko a hi ipi amu do ning ham.
Let us read the song, first stanza of the song from Prince of Egypt.
Si la a stanza ke pat na hi na si bo hiten
This is when Moses runs away from Egypt into the wilderness.
si la hi Moses Moses hi Egypt a ko na gam thip ngama thai do azam pe na la hian
He has now abandoned the possibility of being the ruler of Egypt.
ama hin Egypt a vai hom ding hung hi na ding ho zo si hi ada tha
He is now a haunted man. He is a refugee in the wilderness.
ama hi chi gam thip la a chu I ma cha hello gal zam hello khat le azam manga o ma hi
He comes to a family of a man by the name of Jethro.
Jethro kiti in khat chun ama he anat hongen
And that day, Jethro's family were having a very wonderful party.
chi ni ko achun tu Jethro te in sung achun party khat anane ven he
They were singing and dancing and having a great time.
ti chun la ho po sa vin ala mo vin nom ta hin ko na mango ven he
But Moses was so down and depressed.
ai bang hi chi ho mo na ong ba chun Moses chu ama he alung ki pa thai po na hi
A prince now is in the tent of a Bedouin tribe in the wilderness.
chi len khat hung hi ding mi hem khat chu cho do si hin ta ha chi amun a hi lo na ding mo na om chu
Jethro goes and said, Moses, come and join the dance.
chi a chun jo Jethro chun Moses ko ma chun ke ho lam na hin hung zaw in ti na ko na hi le
And Moses begins to lament, begin to complain, what is the use of dancing? How can I dance in is such a life?
chi a chun hi ti tabang a om lai ta chun Moses hin ti ke ma kalam thei ding ham ti hin complain ho ho le na hi
So let us just read. I'm not sure if Boypuk can do the justice to this song in translation. A single thread in a tapestry, though its color brightly shine, can never see its purpose in the pattern of the grand design. A single thread that the cookie shawl you, a beautiful lungi is a shawl you have,
chi a ho in nampon hoi ta ta nei ho ko
but single thread has no value.
chi a ko pat jang khat se kon asim do zo no hin
In fact, when you start weaving the shawl or lungi, it looks very messed up.
akipat tila ko pon hoi khon tila ko a design ong pot lo su sam lo wa om hin
So Jethro is telling, see, this design you see in this tent, when we start weaving, the threads have no purpose in the beginning.
ja tu jep throi na sein che bang ho a pon ho hoi ta ta ho chu kapat tilo wa chun su sam lo a hoi lo ngan an hin
But the weaver knows, even though the thread doesn't know.
hei ba ma chu hi chi a pat chun thil hoi sim to inge ti hello ba ma chun a khong pa ai lo le a khong nu chun a hong hoi ding ka he hi
So Moses, you may not know, but there is a hand of God behind it.
je at su ama in asai na a Moses nang ma hin hi jong na chun pathin put su in pathin in a he
And he goes on, say, and the stone that sits on the very top of the mountain's mighty face, does it think it's more important than the stone that formed the base? A mountain top has many stones, but those stones are not just important without the role of the stone under the mountain.
chi mol pi lin ta ta chong kon som tam pi au min hi chi ho zo si fu alo pi a hi kon anu ama ba anoi langa song the a pang song neu cha ho long chu apan na tho tho hi
So in one area of your life, if there is a problem, doesn't mean all other areas are having the same problem.
hi chi at chu na hin kho wa problem tam ta na nei wang wa chu
There is a role for every part of your life to play.
ja chu na hin kho a boin ha san tam ta nei jong le chun nang ma in na hin kho na bowling na to ding thil tam pi om na lai na hi
And there is a role every family member plays in your life.
tiếng lệ na hin ko a na in sung mi ho zo sin jong nang ma hin ko a chu rol ai lo le pan mun na to mun tam ta ane vin hi.
And therefore he goes on to say like this. So how can you see what your life is worth or where your value lies? You can never see through the eyes of man. You must look at your life. Look at your life through heaven's eyes. Jethro is telling through this song in the movie that Moses, you cannot find the purpose of your life with your own eyes.
Zia chun hi chi a jep throi da sei na chu Moses ko ma nang ma in na hin ko hi nang ma mit ta in ipidin mo na na din ham ti ki bet thei po na tin.
So you have to look at your life from God's perspective.
Ama wang nang man na hin ko chu pathin nong lam pathin mit ve da zo na ki bet chen di hi ti da sei pin he.
Your eyes do play a very important role.
Ama wang hin ko wa imit hin til na lin pita atong thona.
They will have to see certain things in life.
Hin ko wa hin sung wa til tam pi hi an mu to pe ding hi en.
But these eyes, they have to be focused from God's lenses.
Ai wang hi chi a thil muding ho imit ta he pathin mit vet to ki to a thil vet ngai in hi.
Look at what Jesus says in Luke chapter 11 verse 34 to 36.
Luk bung som le khat chang som thum le ti a wat som thum le gup chan chun pakai ji sun hitin ana sayin.
Let me read in English, then Boypu will read in Kuki. Luke 11:34 to 36. Your eye is the lamp of your body. When your eyes are healthy, your whole body also is full of light. But when they are unhealthy, your body also is full of darkness. See to it then that the light within you is not darkness. Therefore, if your whole body is full of light and no part of it dark, it will be just as full of light as when a lamp shines its light on you.
Luk bung som le khat chang som thum le di a pat som thum le gup chan. Namit chu na ta sawa ahi. Namit achi ma ahi le nati apumpia wa ahi. Apat lo wang le nati pumpi athima ahi. Hizi chun na sunga wa chu athim lo na dingin. Tivet phanin hizi chun na ta sa apumpia awa su ke ya. Athim kum lo wa ahi le may wa ta in na salwa banga wa su ke ding ahi ati.
Your eye is the lamp of your body, your life.
Ziat su namit hi na ta sa adinga wa ahi.
You see, if you have no eyes, life is really terrible.
Mit nei lo hin ko mang di hilen hin ko hi ha sata hiding hi en.
Right from my childhood, I had poor eyesight.
Kanya wa po ni hin kay ma hin kamit an hat po en.
But I had no one to really take care of my sight.
Ai banga hi chip heda chun koi ma ai be colding khanane po en.
I was a very poor student at school.
School ka kay na azong kay ma again the loy kan hi en.
Because I could never see what the teacher is writing on the board.
Azi su teacher ho in board azi ho chu kisano kanamut he ji po hi.
And on top of that, I would always sit at the back of the school bench.
Kamit ahoy lo wang chun school sunga chu achai na lang pena he kato nong ji en.
I used to marvel how those students from back benches could see on the board.
Anung lang pena to ho in blackboard actual ke ji ho amu the chu ke ma kana lung dong ji en.
And then I had no idea why I used to have terrible headache on the left side of my head.
Ting le hi che pa kalu ave lang ho zo se he na anazing ke ji en.
I used to have migraine headache from the time I remember.
Hi chi a lu chang na nakiti ho hi khu ka het ya ko na kan nei to jing pe en.
And sometime while going to school or coming from school, it used to be so painful.
School ka chi ko ham hello le ko hong thun ho ham ting le hin kalu chang hi pum da in anazi en.
I used to put stone in my school bag and then put the hang bag on my head in order to somehow relieve my pain.
Isi chun ka bag sunga chun song ho ka koi dim ji en kalu chunga hin tin ka ngam ji en ana cho phat kha le ti in kana bol ji en.
I suffered throughout my life because there was no one who could buy me glasses.
Ji chu hitsi kahin ko tam zo ti chun kana mangin kami evet kolpi ding lo ze azu ti chu yan thei ta hen ko kana mana hi en
First glass I bought when I got a job.
glass ka ki bihai lo la mit be ka ki be masat ka ki cho na masat pen chu ke man na ka to azawa ko na ki cho masat pen hi en
The first time we couldn't find glasses in Nepal, so I went to Indian side of the border.
Nepal chu hi chu mit be ho chu lo ze en India nai langa chun ke makala chi en hi le
I was almost 19 years old at that time.
che ho achkum som le ko ho vel na hi ning hi ta en
And the first time I put my glasses on,
amma sa pena kahin ko ading glass ka elo le hi spec ka kitu masat pen ni ko achun
I was so amazed to see the beautiful things around.
chi ka ki bu bu achun thil e ho e kom e vela thil hoi ho thil lo ka mu chu ka ki pa in hi
I never knew people were beautiful like that. I thought they were ghosts moving around.
chi ka bu ma sang chun mi ho long chu mi lo hoi ta ka mu che lo ji chun a hoi naw ka na mu thei pon
I could read signboard and everything so clear and perfect.
ka thil bet zo si chu a ki che in hoi ta in ka sin do thei tan
You see, eyesight is so beautiful.
ya cha
Eyesight is very beautiful.
ze a chu mit a thil ki mu thei elo le ka thil mu ho chu a hoi so ke na hi
But that is just a metaphorical way of saying that your perspective in life is also very, very important.
chi mit hi alo pi banga hi e ma lunggel zong hi pha lo pi ma hi en
When you look into the mirror, who do you see?
nang ma in phat bet maya na din ting le khoi lim na mu am
When you look at your children, what do you see in them?
na cha te na bet ting le amo a ko na chu ipi na mu am
When you look at your wife and husband, what do you see? Who do you see?
alo ang pala zila cha ki ka na ki bet to ting le ipi na mu am
Who or what you see in them will determine the kind and the quality of your life.
na thil mu do pa chun nang ma na hin kho man ding dan ho zo si pham a vet sa hi
So Jesus is telling your eye, your perspective in life, the way you look at is so important.
ja cha pakai Jesu Krista nang man na mit hello le na long thima na thil mu ho na gel pa je chu na hin kho a thil to pi ta hi en
It can make your life bright and beautiful or dark and terrible.
hi chi chun nang ma na hin kho hi awa sa thei ei lom phal athim sa thei hi
My son also has very poor eyesight.
tabang ma chun ka cha pa yong hi amit a ha kon
We both are almost now. He is worse than me.
tua hi ama mit zo ku khat mo zo hi en
But he is planning to do laser eye surgery.
ama hen laser eye surgery kiti hi abol go da hi en
But to me, he said, Papa, don't do. Better you have this one.
ai wa nga ke ko ma chu nang ma en hi surgery chu bol hi en
You're too old and I don't know whether it will be good for you.
na ko mahanta nanga dinga phadi ham ti ka he poi ti na sen
If I remove, I cannot see anything here.
tua hi commit be kala to le I ma cha ka mu chen thei ko he
But if I put it back, I can see all of you.
ka ki be ke teng le thil zo si na bo na bin ka mu so ke ze he
In the same way, if you have a positive outlook from a God's perspective in life,
tabang ma at su nang ma na polam hello le pathin mit be da mi phata hello le san theum ta na hina hi le
you will begin to see wonderful things for your life, even though right now it may be terrible.
tabang at hin ko naman na hi le tu le tu an hin ko hi ha sat na gen thei nai jong le thil pha jeng in hin ko hung thung ding ho hi na chan tho ding hi
What makes our eyes go dark?
imit u hi ipize thim thei hin tem
Two things particularly can darken our eyesight very quickly.
thil ni umin imit u hi thim thei na dingen
In Luke chapter 11, Jesus particularly references the healthy eye to a point of greed and generosity.
11
In this.
It's look bung som lakat na chun pakai Jesu Krista hen imit lo hi chi ta salam kilo set na lamahin avet sa in.
The original Greek translation, your healthy eye or unhealthy eye, would be greedy eye or generous eye.
It's ata original akizi na chun ipik namit hi iti zani na hom khenin khatsu kilo sit na mit ahin khatsu ki hom phal na mit ti hin hom khenin he.
So the first thing that quickly darkens our perspective in life is the material greed.
Za chu ihin khowa imit su thim jeng theya ama sa pen chu ipiham tile ta sa thille lo ho a pap sit na elo kilo sit na ahin he.
We are never satisfied with what we have.
Ithil nei chunguba ichan chunguba ilung thai khathei povin.
And in fact, we only see what we don't have. We don't see what we have.
Chu keu se hilowa thil inei kham sanga inei lo lai ho zo si ro hi idei ji ben he.
And then greed gradually develops into envy and jealousy and covetousness.
Cha kilo se je hilo la si ho ji achun ilung gel chu mi thang se na ham mia o chat na ham khain ilung gelo an lo dim ji in.
Greed darkens our life so fast.
Ja chu he chu kilo se na pa hin ko so thim ji in a he.
In fact, in Proverbs it says, don't go and eat with that person.
Hitsi thu khat ki sei na achun hitabang mi him hotel ong chun ne khom lo ding ti chan hin na ki sei he.
Even when he has some party or something special occasion, he invites you, don't go and eat with that person.
Hitabang mi him ho chun ki pa bol na bol ham nang ma na hin ko ting ong le hi chi hotabang mi to chun nang ma an ne khom hi helit.
He may say eat well, but in his heart he must be telling how much he is eating or she is eating.
Akama chun han intinan tin hi banga alunggela za jan ne ti holunggel lung thim sit na lein tin.
Miser always is a miserable person.
Hitabang mi ho chu a iti la ya jong mi phalo elom khat la hi jing jing a hi na he.
So material attraction, greed, or craving for material things can darken our perspective in life.
Za chu ta sa thil le lo ho a dei cha na ham helo ham khat le ngai kho na ji ham hin kho asu thim thein a hi.
In fact, when I was 11 years old, I was brought back to my home.
Kum som le khat kalhin chun ke ma hi ka in lang wa ai le poyoven.
But my father never bothered about his son's well-being.
Ama wang hi chi pet lai jong kapa hin achapa ke ma ading he anagel ko le he.
When I was 13 years old,
Kum som le thom kang thin chun
there was a new way of land registration. New law had come in Nepal.
icha chan dan tha khat Nepal sunga in mun ho ke registering dan tha khat hi ana omen.
He was talking to my mother in one of the nights in the evening.
Ni khat jan khat hi kanu to hen ana ki ho hanin hi le.
They were sitting in the ground floor. We were sleeping on the first floor.
Mani chu ground floor ki ho han ki ho chung nga he kai mo hi en.
Deep in the night in the village, you could hear what they were talking down from the top.
Zan khang athip nunga chun aki ho na ho zo si chu ki zathe hi en.
My father was telling to my mother, tomorrow the engineers are coming to measure the land, register the land.
Jingni ho la hin engineer ho in muni ante aba register abol ni wa hi ta en.
I will not be here.
Kei ka om lo ding hi en.
You have to take my younger son,
Kachapa aneo pen pa hi
register the land in my younger son's name.
kachapa aneo pen pa mina hitsi ichen in mun hi nang ma register na bol ding hi.
Because I do not want the elder son to inherit anything after I die.
Azi chu kathi nung ting le kachapa alien pen pa hin I macha go alo ding hi kadai po na hi.
Mother was very mad at him and shouting all these things.
Hitsi pe at sun kanu chu alung hangin ti sa ki ko za hingen.
I was a 13-year-old boy.
Hitsi pe ra chu kum som na thum be chapang ka hi na lai hen.
I made up my mind
kalunggelin ka kigel thain
I will never stay in this man's house and I will never take one spoon from this house.
hichi ina he ka chen lo ding ting le spoon khat jeng cha jong le kala do ding tin ka kigel thain
When I was 18, when I accepted Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior,
som legi kong hingin pakai Yesus Krista ke ma ka kisana chun
I went home and I wanted to forgive my father and reconcile with him.
ina ka chin ka pa ka ngai dam no min ama to ki ho to ding ka chin na hi le
The first thing he said was, I will never give you any piece of property.
kalhun khun chun ka pa hian ni pi ha kan nei ka go thil leo cha khat cha yong le nang ma ka hop lo ding ti hin ya dai lam po in
Until the day he died, he was worried that I will capture his piece of property.
athi ni pu chan chun ka pa chun ke hin thil hi kila khan te ti hin lum gim ta et na na um na he
He wanted to save that property for his younger son. From me.
for
From me, he wanted to
save.
protect that property and give it to his son.
achapa neo pen ding chun akoi do ring na he
Greed can totally blind you to your personality also.
hizi achu hizi a kilo sit na ta salanga thil ngai cha la ho hen nang ma na hin ko ta jing yong su thim the he
Then the second thing that can quickly darken our perspective in life is sexual impurity.
teng le ani na a hin ko hin ko su thim eng the chu zon lang a hi na he
Whether you're married or unmarried or in whatever condition, if our sexuality is not right, it can destroy our perspective in life.
zinei hin lang zinei hi zong le chun hi chilang panga hi nang ma na kiven bi lawa hele na hin ko hi muthim elo le thim namuna nan pu jing the he
So many wonderful marriages are destroyed because somehow they did not take care of their eyes.
kitchen na tam ta hi ki khen na pida so ji ham tile mi tam ta in amit hi akivet tu zo lo ji wa he
2 days ago, a famous American theologian and a pastor confessed his sexual sin.
nini masanga chun American na pathin na tong khat hin hi chi zon langa ahin ko he amai an phong do in
He is 73-year-old man.
ama hi kum som sagi la thum lang a hita en
But 5 years ago, he began to develop an immoral relationship with a young lady of 20-something.
kum nga masang ho chun ama pa chun chapang numei chapang kum som ni ho ta hin ti chun zon dalama hin ko anamang ji in
He is a famous man. We all honored and respected him. We read his book like anything.
ama pa wang chu za ta ki ho zo se nong ka vet to ji mo athil ji ale khaji ho yong kana sin ji wa hin
Little bit of attraction here, little bit of flirting there.
ama wang ti a ki chep na ho hoi lo ji chun
Slowly, if this eye is not controlled, the person will go into darkness.
ja amit chu ama ana ki vet tu lo ta ji chun a hin ko zong bu thim na a bu the a hi na hi
So, when you look at a person who is not your husband or not your wife, what do you see?
ji a chu nang ma en midang khat na vet ting le na ji pa ham hi lo le na ji nu ham hi lo midang chong ba le na vet ting le ipi na mu vam
If you don't control your eyes,
na mit no hi na ki ven pit lo wa hi le
it can lead you into total darkness.
nang ma na hin kho chu mu thim na a na hen thon khum the hi
Then how can we have this eye protected?
ai wa ga e ho in hi chi mit hi I tilam panga event the ding ham
Number one, you have to kill the greed by generosity.
a bul pe na hi chi ki pap se na kilo se na chu hong phal na lam zo a nang man na khel ding hi
Proverbs 11:25 beautifully says like this:
thu chi ibu bung som la khat chang som ni langa na chang ti hin ki sonen
a generous person will prosper, whoever refreshes others will be refreshed.
mi hong phal hin na chu su thawa ong ding so that mi danga tui chap pi chan chu ama zong ki chap pi ding hi
Generosity is not necessarily in terms of money or finances alone.
Hi chi a hong phal na kiti hin sum le pai a hilom khale chi holang pang hi asei ten na hi po in.
Generosity is an attitude of the heart and mind.
Hi chi hong phal na kiti hi lungyal lung thim pumpi a kipi do hong phal ti na hi na hi.
Do you give your time for your children or for your husband or wife?
Nang ma en na zipa a tingham a hilo le na cha ti a ding ama nang man na phat na pi do kham.
Do you give your time for God, for church?
Ho bunga di an nang pathina di zong nang man na phat na pi do kham.
Anything that you would like to contribute towards something or someone comes from a generous heart.
Nang ma en mi koi hi le nang ma en na lung thima ko na kipi do nom na til lungyal na nei chu hi chu hong phal na kiti na hi.
Greed always makes you a very self-centered, self-observed person. Me.
Ama bang ale lang khada hi chi a kilo sin na kipap sin na ti nei ho mi hem bang chun mi ading a thil to do sangin keima ading ti hin lungyal anei zivin.
But a generous person is always there to help someone, to contribute something, do something good for others.
Ama bang he mi hong phal na nei mi hem ho bang chun mi ading a ipi ka kitho pi thei dem.
A generous person will be very sacrificial person.
Cha mi hong phal ho hi kipi do na hin ho nei mi hem jong hi vin tin.
Whether someone appreciates or not, it doesn't matter.
Ama chu mai pha velowa koi ma pa cha nangai chalowa at ama ta av thil bol ho hi vin.
Therefore, the Bible says, a person who gives to others, who is generous, will never suffer poverty in life.
Zi at chu Bible in koi hi le aki hong phala mi ki tho pi the chu a hin ho ama chu ken thei na hin ho man lo ding hi.
Be a generous person so that you begin to see life from a different perspective.
Mi hong phal mi hem hi vin azi chu hi chi ti a chu na omawa hi le nang ma in hin ho hi a hoi lam a phalama na kisan thei ding hi.
Many years ago, I had a Bangladeshi roommate in South Korea.
Kum tam pi masangal chun Bangladesh ho mi khat hi roommate khat kanane in Korea ko amlai wa chun.
And I used to travel every Saturday and Sunday to a different city to minister in a church.
Hapta si le chun keima chu city chom choma ho bunga ki mang chading in kawa le le zi in.
But this Bangladeshi friend stayed in the dormitory. He didn't have any place to minister.
Ama bang hi cha kasai kaloi pa chu dormitory e lo room songa chu pathina ki man cha ding mun ho anei lo zi chun.
One particular Sunday night, I was coming back to my school.
Ni Sunday ni ko khat hi keima hi school langa ka hong kele en.
And that day, I had received a very good offering from a church.
Hi chini ko achun ho ina ko na offering hoi ta hi kana kisanen.
Somehow, while I was in the bus, this thought began to come, give this money to your roommate.
Kahong kile langa pas sunga chun kalungya la hin hi chithil namu ho zo si chu na roommate papi inti lung kisai pi na hat ka in.
I had no idea what he was going through and all, even though we are roommate, but we hardly met and talked.
Roommate kai han bang chun ka ke ho kha be se han lo ji chun ipi ato ham ipiti ham ti ka ke heto han pon.
So finally, when I arrived at my dormitory, I put the envelope under his pillow.
Ji chun ka thun dormitory ka thun thun chun ka envelope chu ama lo khap no ya chun ka thol lo din hi le.
There was no name, nothing I wrote. I just simply put the envelope under his pillow.
I ma cha ke ji lo ti chun kai man ka mo ko yin.
I had no idea when he found the envelope also.
Ai wang tun I chi envelope chu ama amu hinam ti dong ka heri pon.
Then on Wednesday night, we have a chapel prayer in the seminary.
Wednesday ni la hin ke ho he seminary ko nawa chan taw na kanei vin hi le.
There he began to share how his wife and child were suffering in Bangladesh.
Hi chini la chun ama en azinu to achapa Bangladesh langa again thei tho na ho thu an sei to in.
And he had been fasting from Friday, Saturday, Sunday for God to meet his need.
Hi ji chun Friday upon a Sunday chan ge chu an ngola pathin ko ma taw na anei hi en.
Then he says, by miracles, someone put that envelope under my pillow.
Hi ji chu pathin in lo pi te na atongin mi khatin envelope chu kalu khap noi na ko ti asai do in.
Our dorm is such that individual rooms were not locked, only the main gate would be locked. So anybody could walk into your room and whatever can take or keep in the room.
kom na wa chu main get bo ki kam zi in dang ho zo si chu ki hong hi le koi koi hi jong le ki lut the koi koi jong a pi the in
When I saw tears of thanksgiving coming into that man's eyes, I was also broken inside of me.
he chi a mi pa chu a mi thilo nga ki pa na lo le ki pa thu sei pa chu kamu in hi le ke ma jong kalung sunga hin ki pa na ki ham kana ne na he
There were many, many times God had met my needs like that.
thil hi tabang ma chun phat tam ta sunga hin pathin ke jong ti chun ene ki thopi jingen
There was a kind of a joy, not because I was able to help, but because I heard the voice of God.
khat pa ki pa ji a chu ke ki pa hilovin pathin o kaza ji a chu ke ma kana ki pa zo a hin a hi
I was simply grateful to God, Lord, in the bus you told me to put this money under his pillow, and I did not disobey. I'm so grateful for that.
je chun pathin za ka ta vin pakai nang man hi bas sunga ka to pe na hi chi sum hi pi in ti anang man nei sei pi ho na thu sei ka ngai ji in ka ki pa eti hin
Generosity brings life to you.
ji a chu khong phal na hin kho hi asim phat ji a hi en
Holding onto yourself, spending for yourself does not really satisfy.
nang ma ading keu se a thil na ki cho a nang ma ading keu se na ki bola hele chi chu thil thing a hi po en
But if we can help someone else, that brings joy into our hearts.
ama bang nang ma en chi nang ma bol the na sun suna mi ki thopi na nei the chu na hin ko a ki pa na zo an sun sa ji hi
Some years ago, when I finally legally had to renounce my father's property,
pat kum ma sa ho chun ke ma en pat ka pa go lo the dinga ka pon do the ding ni ko hung thun chun
I used to wonder if I literally, legally renounce my inheritance, how will I feel? I had that feeling before I did it.
Iti say daham kapago chu dan takito a kema en kalu lo ding hetia kasay ni atu itabang lunggel hi kanay dem ti kalunga kagel zingin
And I was a bit worried about my wife also.
yung le kazino ading ngong kema kalung ana kham thobin
And I was worried about my son also.
katsapa ding zong kagel din hele
When we went to renounce my inheritance, my wife was with me.
iti a neile go elole chozo se kanay di ko kabol ding ko atsun kazino yung kakong na dingin
We both felt some kind of joy.
iti ni ko atsun kipana kalung sunga na hin a umin
Lord, I could give up this crores of property without any hesitation.
pathin za hitsi a crore za hum khat property hi gam lungki na ne le helin ka give up the ve ti he ki pa thu ka sai ven
Then we called our son
teng le ka chapa ka kol ki ven
and we said, Son, your father has legally disinherited himself from all his ancestral property.
ka chapa ko matsun napa in ne le go ka lo di ho zo se hi dan ta ki to in ke ma en ka sang poi ti he ka pong do eti hin ka sai pi hi le
The only thing he said was,
ama thil khat ana sai ne he
that means I suppose I have no legal cousins anymore.
Iti atun ama na say na dan to kito cousin ay lo le ule na kanay ta po iti hinan sayin
Don't worry, Pa, I will take care of you.
iti atun nung kami he pa kay man nang ma nan kito pita kan bet jing dum na hi
And my son also carries this DNA of sacrifice within himself.
tabang ma chun katsapa yung hin kipi ilo na lunggel ilo le thisan hi an nei to pe zingen
So you want to live your life in a brighter way, beautiful way, be a generous person.
da sanahin ko hi kipa ta nom ta hin ko mangyen na ti le lu khong phal ta hin ko mangin
You may not have money to give to people.
nang ma in mi ki thopi na asum nei lo mai thei na hi hin
I am so surprised and blessed by Brother Boylan's behavior.
si sopi boilin hin ko hi kay ma ka surprise sa yengin
He is having 12 hours duty every day.
ama hin ni si hin kungkal som le ni hi duty ane hi in
He has a son that he has to take care of him.
ting let chapa avet kol ding khat om kidin
Lot of challenges in his life.
ahin khwa hi challenge tampi omen
But every time we have something here, he will come and spend his time to help us.
ei banga hi chalaya hi piam khat kin om si ting le ama hen aphat ke ho ei pivin na hong tong ji na hi
Then I have seen many of you through the Christmas time, New Year time, and finally mothers passing away. You have spent days and night helping us out here.
ting le Christmas hi han lang New Year hi han lang tunai cha a in sunga boin ki to ho chu long le na ho in mitam ta in na phat teo sun da janum la wa nan pi do wa lai na hong man ji ong kam do in
That comes because of the generous spirit we have within our hearts.
ti che ho zo si chu ei ma ilung gel ita sa chung wa khong phal na nei ji wa hong a hian
And the biblical promise, you can write it down.
ting le na ki ji da thai hen che ko Bible a ko na kitep na promise a hian
If you refresh others, if you encourage others,
mi khat chu na til kho wa hi le
you will be refreshed.
nang ma jing ang chu til kho wa na ding
You bless others, you will be blessed.
nang ma mi phat the na bo a le nang jong phat the bo a na ding
But if you are a greedy person,
ama wang nang ma mi pak se ni kilo se ni a hi le
always hesitant to extend the helping hand,
mi khat ki tho pi na dinga e khut sing de do a hin ko e mana hi le
always full of excuses, I cannot do this, I cannot do that,
ki chi ka bol thai poi ti a he ki le na hi a
you can guarantee your life will be miserable.
hi tabang hin ko mang ho chu pate ba vin na hin ko chu anok ding hi ta sanam lo hi
And when you look at your life, you will always see the problems.
ting le na hin ko wa na hin ko na vet ting le hi chi problem ngen chang hi mu na tin
Be a generous person, be a bright person.
ji chun mi hong phal mi hi te
Quickly, let us read few more verses about our sexual immorality that can destroy our perspective in life.
ting le hi chi John langa hin Bible anasim mo hitin in ko iti su se thai ham
Keeping your eyes pure, Psalm 101:3 says, I will set no wicked things before my eyes.
Psalm number zale khat na chang thom na chun thilgilo po kamit mun koi po nge atin
No matter how handsome looking man he may be, how beautiful lady she may be,
ama pa am khat chu itabang amel hoi hi an lang ai long khale ama nu chu itabang amel hoi hi zong le
if you're a married person,
zilei nahi a hi le
make sure that your wife and your husband is the only object of attraction for you.
nang ma en na ji pa am na ji nu ham chu ama ni se chu namit veta dei mi da namu ding angai na hi
Look at what Job says in this regard about his family, marriage life, and the attraction of the women.
Job in ama marriage hin ko hian lang elo no mai vet ding dan ho iti sayam
He says, I made a covenant with my eyes. Why then should I look upon a young woman?
kay man kabit te ni to kitep na kasimin achuti le ibola no nga kagel ta ding ham
Why should I look upon a young woman? In other words, why should I lust after another woman?
ipisi a no mai dang kay man kabet ta ding ham ti hin na say na hi
Many a time, a wife and husband don't take these things very seriously.
hatam zo ahin nu pa hello le jinu ham ji pa ham hi chi thu hi serious le la ji povin
And then one thing leads to another, and their life turn into misery.
tabanga chu aum te ngo ba la ahin ko chu asat na hello le langin ahung thum ji na hi
I used to follow a pastor.
pastor khat nong kana zui ji en
In almost all his Facebook pages, he will be traveling, and his picture will be always with young ladies.
ama he awa na zo si a he picture hi an post ji en beta lim zo si chu no mai chapang photo hin dim an kela ji na hi
I mean, if the ladies come and say, Pastor, we want to take a picture, that's okay. You cannot say no, they take the picture. They post in their Facebook, that's fine.
elom pala no mai ho chun pastor pat lim kela pi no ma wa ai le si chu asipo en no mai ho mama chun aki posting wa en
But this fellow, wherever he goes, he will be posting all these pictures with young ladies.
ai banga hi chi pastor pat chun hi chi no mai chapang ho to akila na ho zo si achi na zo si a amo ho lim cho an post ji en
And I told my wife one day, I think this guy is going to be in trouble one day.
si kazinu ko mahin nikhat le chipa he boy na hin to intenti hin kan sayin
He had a church in
ama hin New Delhi ya ho in anei hin
about a year ago, everything collapsed.
kum khat ho masangat sun mazo si kichai ta na he
Today he is out of church, out of ministry.
tuni ni ko hin ama hin ho bunga ko nin rong apo dota ministry ong nei ta po na he
So sexual purity, sexual holiness is very, very important for your joyful life.
aje a chu zon langa thin tho na pa hi na hin ko nok ta naman the na dinga thil khai phata hi en
Young people, protect yourself for your future husband or wife.
jene nai lo ho zong khonung le na ji pa na ji nu a tingin pai ta in ke veng to mo ven lang
Those of you who are married,
teng le jene cha ho a tingin
protect your husband and wife. Make it holy union.
na ji nu na ji pa hoi ta in veng to mo ven lang nakit nang ni ke ka chu theng tho hen
So finally, I have taken quite a long time. Let us look at our life from the side of positivity and life is full.
hin kho hi a hoi lam elol a phalangin ga ki sa no hi ten
Don't look at what you don't have, look at what you have.
na nei lo thil ho a ki sa boi lo wa ipi na nei ham ti pa zo hen ki sa boi za ta ven
Then look at life from a different perspective also.
chu teng le nang ma lung gel lang se sia na hin kho velowa midang lung gela konin zong thil hi beta ven
Don't say my way is the only way.
ke ma lung gel se hi adi he ti hi sei ta pong ten
That means that you may be wrong.
nang ma na di lo mai thei sa hi
Allow others' viewpoint also influence your decision.
nang ma in thil khat na bol ding ting le midang bit bet a zong da dom domin
And then you keep your eyes healthy.
teng le namit ho hi dam dam thei na dingin hoi ta in veng to bovin
Practice generosity.
hong phal dan ki thim chu vin lang
And every time you are tempted to be greedy, ask God to help you to overcome greed.
na hin kho a pap si na ho lungyat a ting le pathin ko ma hong phal na nei the na dingin tau jing bovin
If you think sexually you have compromised your life, repent from your sexual immorality. Come to Jesus for cleansing.
chi zon langa zong hi na chi wal kha ta a hi le kisim tha wen lang pakai Jesu Krista kom hin zon ta ven
Be holy, just as God is holy, says the Bible.
pathin then tho bangin nang ho jong thing thovin ti hi bible a ki sun hi
And then fix your eyes on Jesus.
so teng le namit chu pakai Jesu Krista a fix ven
And let His eyes become your eyes.
teng le ama mit chu ei ho mit in hung pang hen
And when you look at your life from heaven's eye,
na hin ho chu van gam mit a na vet ting wa hi le
you will never regret in life.
na hin ho wa i ti jong le na kisi lo de hi
No matter what comes in life, you will always find reason to rejoice.
na hin ko a sat na gen thein om jong le ki pa na ding hin ko naman thei ding wa hi